I'm a 34-year-old woman living alone in a quiet neighborhood. A couple of weeks ago, I found myself in a situation that I never saw coming. Late one night, I was heading back home after spending some time with friends, and as I was getting out of my car, I saw a young girl wandering on the sidewalk a few houses down. She couldn't have been more than 8 or 9 years old. She looked a bit lost and was clearly distressed, and even though it was close to midnight, she didn't seem to be looking for a way home or calling for anyone. She was just there, shuffling around aimlessly. I approached her, asking if she was okay. She looked at me with big, tired eyes, but didn't say much. It was clear she needed some sort of help, and leaving her there didn't feel right. After a few moments, she quietly muttered her name, Clara. I coaxed her into coming inside my house, just to get her out of the dark and to figure out what to do next. I tried calling the local authorities to let them know there was a child in need of help, and they told me someone would come over as soon as possible. Clara, meanwhile, sat quietly on the edge of my couch, staring down at her shoes. I have a bit of a soft spot for kids, especially ones in difficult situations. I volunteered in foster care programs before and even helped out at youth centers. Something about Clara's silence just struck me deeply. I couldn't help but feel for her. But as I waited, hours passed and no one showed up to take her. I made a few more calls but was told that, due to some staffing shortages and a high number of active cases, it might be a couple of days before they could send someone over or make arrangements for her placement. They didn't seem to have any record of her or know of any family to contact immediately. So it turned into a temporary arrangement. I set up a small bed for her in the guest room and explained that this was just for a few days until things got sorted out. Clara seemed shy but obedient, listening and nodding without much reaction. But as the days went by, Clara started to warm up a bit. She'd follow me around the house, occasionally asking me questions about my day or what I did for work. Then one morning, she slipped and called me Mom. It was unexpected, and while part of me thought it was sweet, I also felt a little uncomfortable with it. I reminded her that I was just helping her out temporarily, but it didn't seem to register. Days turned into nearly a week, and there was still no word from social services. I was calling almost every day, and each time I was met with vague reassurances about a complicated case and that they were doing their best. Meanwhile, Clara was getting more comfortable in my home. She had started asking if she could help with chores, and I noticed she'd taken to drawing little pictures, usually of the two of us together. I was trying to maintain some boundaries. I made sure she understood that I was not her family, just someone helping out until the authorities could figure things out. But her attachment was growing, and my friends and family started to notice, especially when I mentioned how she'd started calling me Mom more frequently. My friends thought I was getting in too deep, warning me that this situation was getting complicated. But with social services still stalling, I didn't know what else to do. Part of me was concerned, too, especially when I noticed that Clara would sometimes do small things like hide my phone or take little trinkets around the house and tuck them into her backpack. At first, I thought it might just be a child acting out or looking for attention, but it was happening more often. It was then that I decided to reach out to a therapist I'd worked with before, just to get some advice on how to handle the situation without Clara becoming even more attached. The therapist advised me to set clear boundaries and make sure Clara understood that this was a temporary situation. That night, I tried explaining to Clara that this wasn't going to be a permanent setup. She just looked at me with a sad, confused expression. I could tell the message wasn't quite sinking in. The following day, things took a surprising turn. Social services finally called back, but the news wasn't what I expected. They informed me that Clara's background was a bit more complex than they had anticipated and that her case might take